Hi golfers, Rob Cheney here from GOLFTEC Singapore. Today's video we're going to discuss the topic of neck tilts in the golf swing. Should you be trying to move your head? Should you be trying to keep it still? And understanding how the correct motion of your head throughout the swing can add significant distance to your shots.
Swing. That was a good swing.
Okay, so let's discuss neck tilts in some detail and help you understand what they are, where people often get this wrong, and how understanding how to tilt your upper spine, your cervical spine, or your neck can help you to turn further and create more distance in your swing. I guess the number one mistake I see with this part of the swing are golfers who mistakenly try to keep their head still or their head down. Now, just to clarify, I'm a big fan of a head that stays fairly steady and stationary throughout the swing from a general point of view, so the head isn't bobbing up and down or moving excessively from side to side. But that's very different to saying to keep your head still, literally. And I think sometimes golfers misunderstand that idea of keeping their head still or keeping their head steady. They misinterpret it for keeping your head down, keeping your head and your eyes fixed on the ball, which can lead to quite a significantly limited rotation. When it comes to the cervical spine, the upper part of your spine or your neck, it's the most mobile part of your spine. And fixing it or locking it in place, trying to just fix your head or your eyes or your gaze completely on the ball is massively hindering, restricting your anatomical movement, your natural ability to move through a range of motion. And when you put that lock or that limit on that part of your swing, it's going to result in a very short looking backswing. You might be told that you're not flexible enough. Trying to keep your head fixed down is going to restrict your backswing. And it's then also going to place more stress on other joints because you're going to need to recruit more motion from different segments that wouldn't normally or ordinarily need to if you were moving your head correctly. A great but unfortunate example of someone who fell foul of this type of instruction was Michelle Wee. She was, for those of you who don't know, a very promising, up-and-coming young golfer who was extremely talented and expected to be the next big thing. She went through some questionable instruction from a free-flowing swing where her head and neck would tilt correctly, nice long, languid, fluid backswing, to something that resembled her trying to swing in a cast. And if those of you that know the history of her golf, it's been plagued by injuries, and it's a real sad state of affairs that she was subjected to that information because she was told to effectively lock her body in place and try to create this whole resistance model nonsense, which is killing so many golfers. I'm not suggesting that you should only do this, by the way, if you feel like you're into your later years of your golf. You may feel like your body isn't quite as supple or as flexible as it used to be. If that's you, you should definitely be doing this. If it's not you, you should still probably be doing this, because just because you're younger and your joints allow you to go through greater ranges of motion at the moment, you're going to be placing excessive stress on your body if you're not moving it in a safe and efficient way. So here's what you should do. Tilting defines the game of golf. If you've watched enough of my videos, you'll know that I say the tilting that we do in the backswing and in the follow-through defines the game of golf. The golf ball is down on the ground, we're bending forward, we're using clubs that are on an angle. The ability to tilt correctly throughout the swing really does differentiate golfers from beginners, intermediate, all the way up to expert. And those who are expert are able to demonstrate the tilting part of the swing very, very, very well indeed. Now, we don't just tilt our mid-spine, we also tilt all the way up to the top of our spine, our head and our neck. So as I turn to the right on the backswing, I tilt my spine and my head and my neck to the left. And you'd be able to see that because my left eye, my left ear is lower, closer to the ground than my right eye on my right ear. If I hadn't tilted my neck correctly, or if I hadn't tilted my head correctly, or if I tilted it in the opposite direction, as I swung back, my eyes would be more level to the ground, my ears would be more level to the ground, and my shoulder turn would be much, much flatter, causing all sorts of other issues regarding contact and swing direction. So I'll say that one more time, you're going to tilt in the opposite direction of the turn. That's right, I just said you're going to tilt in the opposite direction of the turn. You should write that down. So on the backswing, I'm turning to the right and tilting to the left, left ear closer to the ground, left eye closer to the ground. And as I swing down and through impact and into the follow through, I'm now turning to the left. So as I turn to the left, I'm going to tilt to the right, which now means my right eye and my right ear is closer to the ground than my left. So the tilting in the opposite direction of the turn is what keeps the head centered, and doing this correctly allows for a much longer travel of the golf club in the backswing. There is no better example of someone demonstrating this than someone who's won more men's major championships than anybody else, and is arguably the greatest golfer of all time, although there'll be a few people who will argue with that. I'm not going to argue with the fact that Jack Nicklaus used to set up very much with his head turned and tilted to the left. If you take a look at this picture, you'll see how when Jack sets up to the ball, he's already sort of preset his head, turned it to the right, tilted it to the left. Now he's very much looking at the ball out of his left eye, and as he turns to the top, he's already got his head in place. It's already turned and tilted, so he just moves his shoulders and finds that slot. A lot of you are saying to me that you feel like your shoulder just needs to go under your chin as a feeling of the backswing, but I'm going to tell you that you have to turn and tilt your neck as well in order to propel the arm and the club far enough around you to create the length of swing you need that's necessary to help you hit the ball far. So a great exercise that I use with players to help them understand this is part of this, the Jack Nicklaus setup, looking at the golf ball out of their lead eye, turning their head to the right, tilting it to the left. And another great feel is at the top of the swing to feel like you're listening to the ground with your left ear, even resting your head on a pillow at the top of your backswing. And you can mirror that feel on the follow through as you swing through. Once again, hit your shot, keep listening to the ground with your right ear or resting your head on the pillow. That's going to allow you to feel that sensation of having the right tilt to the ground at the end of the swing, which many golfers don't understand or simply don't manage to achieve because they're not aware that they should do. As soon as they hit the ball, the head's bobbing up and out of the box. So learning to tilt your neck to the left on the backswing and to the right on the follow through will help you to maintain a more centered pivot from the face-on view, and it will help you to maintain your inclination to the ground from a down the line view. Another way to see the tilt, especially if you wear a cap when you practice or play, is to either use the writing that's on the front of your cap, obviously depending on what logo or type of text is on the front, but also those of you familiar with Mac O'Grady's teachings will know that he used to have a visor and would put a piece of tape down the front here, this center line that I've done in the blue, and that would allow him to visually see the tilts when filming on camera. So I'm just going to hit a shot and go through that with you and explain how you could see this if you're practicing at home. So if I wasn't to tilt my neck correctly, I'd set up this center line would be more or less vertical. It might be slightly turned, but it's more or less vertical. If I didn't move my head, I kept it dead still and kept it fixed and locked, you'd see how short my backswing is, and you'll see how the angle of that tape there hasn't changed at all. It stayed the same. That would be the definition of keeping your head still and doing it incorrectly. If I was to tilt correctly in the backswing, so as I'm turning my head to the right, I'm tilting it to the left, at the top of the swing, you will notice how the tape is tilted, or turned and tilted, so it's now angled slightly away from me here. And coming back down, as I hit the ball, I'm now going to tilt it in the opposite direction, so the angle of the tape is now pointing this way. I think that's a good visual for you, particularly if you struggle with this, if you've got a short backswing, or if you're being told you're not flexible enough to swing far. Grab a cap, grab a visor, put a line or some tape on the front and film yourself. If you want to make longer swings, just keep turning and tilting your neck longer on the backswing. That'll help you to swing back further and ultimately create more potential power. So there's some ideas, guys, on neck tilts and their influence throughout the swing. Very important subject, one that doesn't get a lot of attention. Maybe it's just a given. Most people assume they do this instinctively or naturally. I would tell you that many do not. Those of you who are misunderstanding the concept of keeping your head steady and translating that as keeping your head still, are effectively putting your body into a plaster cast and restricting your movement significantly, putting your body under more stress and more strain. So if you're looking for a more fluid golf swing, a longer golf swing, a pain-free golf swing, I would certainly take a look at incorporating some of these neck tilt ideas into your golf swing. For me, the payoff for this piece is so much greater than the effort required to put in. I liken this very much actually to the foot flare stuff that I've talked about in previous videos. Turning your feet out gives you an enormous number of benefits for a relatively small effort and input on your part. And I'd say the same here. I'd say understanding how to simply turn and tilt your neck correctly on the backswing and on the follow through can give you so many extra pieces for free. So as I say, if it's something that you think you could benefit from, go ahead and try and incorporate it into your swing. Let me know how you get on in the comment section down below. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. Before I finish today, I want to mention two things. Number one, the grid that's drawn out on the mat here. I get so many questions about this grid and how we draw it on the bay here at GOLFTEC in Singapore. We're using the T-Claw product. It's a product we've used here for a long time. We use it in this bay. We also draw the grid lines on our mats in some of the other bays. But if you're looking to build out your own grid, check out the T-Claw product. I'll put the link in the description box below. Second thing I want to mention before I round off is that I'm going to put a link in the description to a video that was done by a good friend and colleague of mine, Michael Manavian from the United States. Michael used to use the gears system. In fact, he still uses the gears system. He made a video a while back all on this subject of cervical tilt or neck tilt. Using some really impressive measurements, he was able to take a 70-year-old golfer, add 25 yards to his 7-iron. If you want to see that video, I'm going to click the link or put the link in the description box below. Go and check it out, and as always, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great week. We've just gone back into some sort of mini circuit breaker or lockdown here in Singapore. Golf is currently still open. We're grateful for that. Wherever you are in the world, please stay safe, have a good week, and I'll see you all again very soon for another video.